Good morning. Hello to everybody. Welcome to the final conference of the project Changing Our Story, the pursuit of the inclusive education. My name is Petr Šimon and I will be moderating the whole conference. The meeting is interpreted simultaneously and you will find all practical issues regarding the meeting and the interpretation in the chat box. Jednání bude v angličtině a je tlumočené tedy simultánně a informace nalezete v chatu. And please meet also your contact person, who is Alena Čadová. So if you have any concrete question regarding the technical issues, please contact her directly via the chat box. So to start, I would like to say some words about the project. So this is a 3-year project which started in November 2021 and which will finish in November 2024. So also this is a final conference. We still have some work left ahead of us, but the aim of this conference is to present the state of the art of the project and of its outputs. The project has been run by 4 institutions. The main institution or the leading institution is the University of West Bohemia from Pilsen in Czech Republic. And the other partners are from the Netherlands, which is the Hague University of Applied Sciences and Institute of Social Studies of Erasmus University Rotterdam. And we also have one Slovak partner, which is the Konstantin the Philosopher University in Nitra. So that was a few words about the project, and now I would like to say something about the ground rules, because this is an online meeting. So the first rule is, or the first information is that the meeting is being recorded. So I ask you to provide consent for recording. I mean, your participation, your active or passive participation in the meeting is seen as a consent for recording. The recording will be later made public on the project website and YouTube channel, where it will be available with subtitles and sign language translation. We have already highly recommended you to change the username on Zoom as follows: preferred name, country, and if you want also you can put your preferred pronouns. Please mute your microphones when you are not talking. And if you want to participate in the discussion, raise your both virtual and real hand or use the chat box. There will be also a kind of real discussion after the documentary screening later on. The conference program has been built on 3 project outputs, as I already said. So the first project output is the online course. The second one is the documentary, and the last one is the art exhibit. And as a follow-up of the project, we will also present other university projects and activities focusing on inclusion, equal opportunities, etc. One positive information: this conference will have 3 coffee breaks. So first of all, so let's start by introducing the project partners. So I would like to give the floor to Pavla Hrabačková, the representative and the head of the Information and Counseling Center at the University of West Bohemia. So the idea is to introduce himself or herself and to talk a little bit about what the inclusion means for you, for them, what the inclusion means to my country, to the institution, to us. And after Pavla, I will ask also the representatives of the other institutions, Barbara Sender, Sri, and Vate. So Pavla, please.
Thank you very much. Thanks. Good morning, everyone. Over the last 3 years, we have started a transformative journey dedicated to promoting equal opportunities, inclusive education, diversity, social safety at higher education, in higher education. At the kickoff of this project in 2021, our focus at the University of West Bohemia was pretty clear. It was to support individuals with health disadvantages and to address the challenges they face in accessing quality education. While implementing project goals, we recognize the power of stories and storytelling as vehicles for change, and we set out to weave these narratives of our daily work. Throughout this project, we have remained steadfast in our commitment to promoting inclusive education. Our approach has been practical, grounded in the real-life experiences of individuals and institutions, especially both Netherlands universities. By embracing the concept of storytelling, we have sought to shift the narrative surrounding inclusion and empower voices that have long been marginalized at our university and in our country. Our objectives have been ambitious, yet achievable. We have worked pretty hard to promote the values and benefits of inclusive education through broad engagement within and between institutions, involved institutions. We have supported professionalization of university staff, equipping them with the skills and knowledge needed to create inclusive learning environment. And we have actively involved high school and university students, recognizing them as valuable partners in our pursuit to change. As we reflect on the achievements of our project, we can take pride in the tangible outcomes we have produced, from the development of online course of university staff to from the development of online course for university staff to the creation of visually striking art exhibit. Our efforts have left a lasting impact on higher education institutions and communities alike. But our work does not end here. As we transition from project implementation to dissemination, we must remain vigilant in our effort to promote the values of inclusive education. Throughout conferences, publication, art exhibit openings, and the creation of documentary, we will continue to share our story, inspiring others to join us in this important work. In closing, I would like to express my gratitude to all those who have contributed to the success of this project. From our partners and collaborators from the Netherlands, both Netherlands universities, our friends from University Constantina Filozofa in Nitra, my amazing colleagues from the University of West Bohemia, to the students and community members who have shared their stories with us. Your dedication and patience has been the driving force behind these achievements. Together, we have changed the narrative surrounding inclusive education. But our story is not from over. as we look to the future, let us continue to strive for environment where every individual access to quality education, regardless of their sex, gender, age, social, cultural background, or other circumstances. Thank you very much. I hope this conference will be successful. You will like it, and hopefully we will meet again during another project. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Pavla. Just before you leave, could you tell us in one word what the inclusion means for you?
It's communication.
It's communication. Thank you. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Now, I would like to give the floor to Barbara Sender from the University of Konstantin, the Philosophy University in Nitra. Barbara is the special educator and lecturer and one of our project partners. So, Barbara, please.
So, hello, everybody. Please, I would like to introduce myself and my colleague who is here with me. We are both the professor assistant at the University of Konstantin Philosopher in Nitra. We were part of the project since the very beginning. And I would like to say thank you for the opportunity to be part of this project, because it was sometimes maybe challenging, but still very inspiring for us. We have learned a lot from our partners. So I would like to say a big thank you to the University of West Bohemia and our Dutch partners as well. And to answer your question, what inclusion means for me personally, I think that it's like a universal human right, and the goal of the inclusion should be that we make the environment welcome, and to make access to everybody who and give the equal opportunities for everyone, and also get rid of any intolerance or discrimination. And what maybe should the inclusive university look like? Well, it should be the place where it's a very open and welcoming, and with staff and students who really share and spread the inclusive philosophy. And also the goal of our university is also to enable that our students will have the opportunity to strengthen and to develop their talents and their gifts as much as possible. And to answer your question, what inclusion means at the national level, well, I can say that maybe the previous government did a lot of positive changes, and in Slovakia, inclusion is covered by many documents and several legal regulation. And for example, the previous government prepared the strategy of inclusive education, and also the concept of inclusive education appeared for the first time in the school law last year, and also a catalog of supper measure was created to ensure the providing of support in education for every student and every pupil, not only for pupils with special educational needs. And so, however, changing the law and some legal documents is one thing, but what is more important is how we how we transform these changes into the practice, how we can open the mind of our teachers, of all the actors of the education, to be maybe more open-minded and more progressive. So that's, I think, all from us, from our side.
Thank you very much, Barbara. My question is, okay, you've been talking about like the changes. My question is whether your perspective, or to what extent your perspective on the inclusion has changed through the project, if the perspective on the inclusion has changed.
Well, I can say maybe from the perspective of our institution, because we were always more focused on the students with special or specific educational needs, as we call it in the university level. And now we realize that there are still students who are not like students with specific needs, but they always need support, that maybe they face some difficulties, or they are in some difficult situation, and we have to be there for them. So we have, for example, at the university, the Students Center and Support Center, but it offers like a psychological counseling, but during the project, we, for example, started with some art therapeutic sessions for students, or we offer some other activities, so all the students can be somehow involved and they get the support they need.
Thank you very much. So if you have some questions going to Slovakia, please feel free and leave them in the chat box. And now I would like to move to the Netherlands. And first of all, I would like to invite Srika Mulaseri Satyamma, who's been working as an academian in the gender and political economy at the International Institute of Social Studies of Erasmus University Rotterdam since January 2020. So Sri, the floor is yours, and the questions are the same. Thank you.
Thank you, Peter. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to all of you to this closing conference of the project Changing Our Story. And a thank you to my partners for organizing this. My name is Srireka Mulaseri Satyamma. I am a faculty at the International Institute of Social Studies, which is located in The Hague, and it's affiliated to Erasmus University Rotterdam. I would, just in response to the questions on discussing inclusion. Personally, I think about inclusion as any attempt, an initiative, as a conversation, which addresses maybe the privileged in every community, every country, which to make them conscious of the different levels of exclusions, and then through that process, bringing the privileged and the marginalized together, and through that address some of these inclusions and exclusions, to address some of the exclusion and bring that as steps toward change in thinking and changing in practice. So that's what inclusion is. It's my focus is on attempts towards that. In my institute at the International Institute of Social Studies, it's almost a perfect place for a conversation on inclusion, because we have a very big majority of international students and staff, unlike many other institutions. So here we have an opportunity to create that space more, which connects our students and staff, which come from very different parts of the world, and through them spread, awareness and consciousness on the issue of exclusion and inclusion, and to by sensitizing our students, when our students go back to their own countries, they can create that space and reflect on the stories and the conversations they had with their own peers and with us. And so I think our institution has a very interesting place in the world to have the conversation on inclusion. And lastly, to think about my country. I grew up in India. Most of my life I lived there. In the Indian context, now there is a sort of a changing scenario what inclusion and exclusion means. Our current government, I would say in some ways, focuses a lot on exclusion. So excluding certain communities on the basis of religion and caste politics. So for me, at this point, as a national level, a conversation on what religion means for us as a nation, if you want to be a democratic country, what is the role of religion? A conversation on religious fundamentalism and caste politics, and so within the country, and also to go beyond the country in terms of maybe the South Asian communities all over the world. Or in other countries too, what is the role of religion? How does that connect to citizenship issues? How does it connect to everyday life of people? So those are the questions in my own, in the national context, which are extremely relevant for me. And that's the message I would like to focus on. So all of these goals are kind of combined, some way contributes together for me. You know, in my classroom, I would bring in these conversations on caste politics or religion or the conversation on inclusion and exclusion. So I'm thinking that these ways, institutions and bringing this conversation to research and then to activist spaces would kind of, kind of help us to move forward. So I would stop there. Thank you, Peter, unless you have any questions more for me, but I think that's what I would say for now.
No more question for now, and thank you very much, Sri. I personally appreciate a lot that what you mentioned, and you mentioned your international background, and to be honest, this is something that I always like to work internationally, to meet people from abroad, to learn from them, and to share our experience, good practices, and this is also one of the reasons why I joined this project. I forgot to say that I joined this project in its middle, so even less than 1 year ago, and I'm more than happy to be part of this inclusion and inclusive family. Thank you, Sri. The next institution to be presented is the Hague University of Applied Sciences, and I would like to ask Vate Zylstra, who is the senior researcher focused on study success and student success, diversity and inclusion at this university, among others. So, Vate, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. I want to start with naming Naomi van Stapelen. Naomi is my colleague. She's a professor in inclusive education, and she couldn't be here today. If she was here, she would talk to you at this moment. So I represent a little bit Naomi, but Naomi and I work closely together, so we know each other a lot, and we share also our ideals in inclusion. When I think of a word that is important to me when it's about inclusion, I think of openness. And on a personal level, I'm gay, and I know from a personal experience that it is important that there is inclusion in the university. When I was studying, and that's in the 80s of the previous century, nobody was talking about being gay or whatever. I didn't know any other people who were gay. So only there was joking and judging around us. So that's that's now totally different, because it's now open in the Netherlands too. People can talk about it, you know people, and I think that's so important, that for your sense of belonging. And I think also that it's very important for universities that they pay attention to an inclusive environment, not only for sexuality or gender, also for other perspectives. And if I'm talking about being gay, coming out is still very sensitive also in the Netherlands for a lot of persons and students, and also for a lot of students it's not possible. So I think that's really important that we as a university provide a safe space for these people. For our university, I worked there already for 23 years, and diversity and inclusion is in that whole period a very important topic. It's also because it's my work, but when I started at the university, it's in 2001, and right after 9/11. And then I experienced in our university how important inclusion was, because in the period after 9/11, and I just started at the university, so I had time to experience everything. Our board organized a lot of meetings for students and employees to talk about what has happened. And also because we have a very big percentage of the students is also Muslim, and we have a very diverse population. So it was very important to create openness again and talk about the different perspectives and what was happening in the United States, what the impact was also in the Netherlands. So at that moment, I experienced how important inclusion was also for the university. In that period, it was still a period of agenda setting and talking a lot. Now it's part of our strategy. So it's part of our DNA. We have an inclusion office, but also we have a research group on inclusive education. So we do a lot for these topics and this theme. And at this moment, we pay a lot of attention to student participation and student-led initiatives. And that's why this project is so important also to us. On a country level, the Netherlands, yeah, I'm happy to live in the Netherlands. It's a very open country. You can be yourself. When I speak of I think other people will tell other stories. At this moment, we feel a lot of counter forces. We had elections last November, and yeah, a very big amount of people voted for right wing. So here in the Netherlands, we experience at this moment counter forces. Also when we talk about diversity and inclusion. So we can't take it for granted, the openness in the Netherlands. I never thought it would such a lot of people would vote for this party. So for the future, I still have confidence, but we can't take things for granted. We have to fight for the openness and for the diversity and inclusion. And also, given the geopolitical developments, yeah, diversity and inclusion and fighting for it stays important.
Thank you very much, Vatev. Thank you very much for your openness. Personally, I appreciate also what you said, and I mean, I appreciate everything what you said, but especially what you said in the end of your speech when you were talking about the fact that like the situation we are living in right now can't be taken for granted, unfortunately, and all of us, we have to work on it. We have to like think of it all the time, every day, in order to like make things better.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. So before we move on to presentation of the first project output, I would like to say a few words about myself. I already introduced myself at the beginning. Actually, I've been working as the ombudsperson at the University of West Bohemia since January 24, so for 2.5 months only. But to be honest, I've got quite a lot of complaints so far. So all speakers have been talking about the safe space, about the importance of creating the safe space. And that's what my team, my working group, and I trying to establish, to do within the university, and not only, but within our society as well. I've been responsible also for the social safety at the university and equal opportunities. And together with Adela Klimkova, I will pass the word on to later on. We used to work on one very important culture project, which is the European Capital of Culture, so 2015. So let's say that my focus is starts in the education, goes through the culture, and ends in the inclusion. But let's say this is like a kind of interconnected circle for me.